friends, I'm Layli.
And I'm Corinne.
Today we're in Tainan's Anping district. Anping was originally a sandbar on the western coastline of Tainan City.
So when Dutch settlers arrived here in the early 1600s, they built a fort called Fort Zeelandia, now known as Anping Gubao, where we are right now, which they used as a center of their trade routes between Japan, China, and the Southeast Asian countries where they were trading goods like spices and porcelain and tea. There are only 2 remaining original Dutch structures here in Anping Gubao. They're both walls that originally surrounded the fort. This is one of them. It has got some characteristic Dutch architectural techniques.
Notice here the use of bricks, which is one of the Dutch's favorite building materials. And between the bricks, you see the cement called sanhetu in Taiwanese, angmengtou, which means red-haired mud. Why red-haired mud? It was invented by the Dutch, who had red hair. For the same reason, this fort was once known as Red-Haired Fort, Hongmao-cheng, despite the fact that the name now belongs to another fort in the north of the island.
The Dutch truly were masters of fort building. Here we can see the indent left by wall scissors, which is a wall joint that the Dutch used to join 2 walls like this, where they'd have scissors on one side and a hook clasping onto the other wall.
Wow, this is so cool.
So, why are there only 2 original walls left?
Okay, well there's a few reasons for that. So during the early 1800s, as the sandbar under Anping Gubao was starting to erode, the area was losing much of its administrative and military power. And in 1868, British ships shelled the entire Anping area, including Anping Gubao. The final straw came in 1871, when a few Japanese fishermen were attacked off the coast of Taiwan. As a result, there were rising military tensions between the Qing dynasty and Imperial Japan. And in 1874, the Qing dynasty began construction of a battery castle just over a kilometer away from here, called Yizai Jingcen, or the Eternal Golden Castle. Yizai Jingcen was to be the castle that defended Qing Taiwan from the Japanese invaders. But it had one very big problem. See, Yizai Jingcen was also built on the Anping sandbar, and as you can see, it was intended to have a moat. Andrea, have you ever tried to make a sandcastle with a moat before?
Well, yes, I tried, but I wasn't successful because the water kept going into the sand.
If Yizai Jingcen's moat had been left unlined, then the water in the moat would eat away at the sand underneath the castle, and our eternal golden castle would not be very eternal. In 1874, when the Qing dynasty began construction of this castle, it imported bricks from Anping Gubao's old walls and used them to line the bottom of its moat. As a result, Anping Gubao lost structural integrity in its walls, and what was already half destroyed by British shells was fully destroyed in 1876 by the Qing dynasty's own construction project.
The cannons of Yizai Jingcen were used during the Chinese and Japanese War to shoot Japanese ships, while its heavy walls stored ammunition and soldiers, and its large enclosed square hosted military drills.
So only one of the cannons in this entire structure is actually an original cannon from that time period. And it is this one right here. Do you know how you can tell?
No.
What do you see in there?
These lines.
Oh, lines. Here, let's let the camera take a look.
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, these lines. The lines are actually evidence of a twisting of the bullet. The cannonballs at that time were actually more bullet shaped. And in order to improved their accuracy as they were shot out of the cannon. They were twisted as they went out. I think there's a thing like that in baseball too. Anyway, the replica cannons will not have these lines on the inside. The inside of their barrels will be as smooth as a baby's bottom.
How smooth is baby's bottom?
As smooth as the inside of a replica cannon.
Unfortunately, these newfangled cannons could not win Qing the war. And in 1895, Qing and the Japanese have signed a treaty in which Taiwan was signed over to the Japanese.
Wait, so if this whole fort was left in ruins in the 1800s, where did all this come from?
That's a good question. So this fort was rebuilt in 1896 when Japan gained control of Taiwan, and they built it in the original model of the Dutch fort, Fort Zeelandia. Then in 1908 they built this lighthouse, and a guard was stationed here who would send out a light beam every 4 seconds to guide ships on the sea. This exhibition hall here was built in 1930 to celebrate Taiwanese culture, also by the Japanese.
As you can see, historical sites are constantly changing and evolving with the times. One site that has truly changed is Deji Yanghang, the original Tate & Company merchandise.
So believe it or not, where we are right now is actually the Tate & Company warehouse, right behind the merchant house. And it's now overgrown with these banyan trees. Now this warehouse is nothing more than a fun place to play and explore. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Bye!